Okay, we are on. Live on social media. All right, we're live on YouTube, on several pages on Facebook. We're coming up on Twitter. Okay. Wow. Okay, thank you. All right. Jennifer is timed out. What happened? You timed out.
Just hold on. Hold on. I can't do reconnect.
Okay, because I'm going to start.
We're going to find out next. Give me a minute. Just a minute.
Okay. I just even sent you a recent email of the link. All right, I just want to welcome everyone that is tuning in. Thank you for coming. We're starting in 1 minute. All right, it's time, and we're just going to start. Okay. Jenny, we're starting. Join us.
It's exciting, it's educative, and engaging. Let's master information on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, 7 o'clock every Sunday evening with your host, Jake Abele, CEO and founder, the Albino Foundation Wisdom Masterclass webinar, live on Zoom, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Topics that will stand you out, take you right to the next level. For more information, send email to Jake at albinofoundation.org or call 03-533-5444. That is 03-533-5444. Get reality on the virtual platform. Join the virtual train. Don't be told. Get wisdom only on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, poised to take you to the next level.
Hello, welcome to Wisdom Masterclass. What a day, what a privilege to be your host this evening. And tonight we're looking at a very important topic. And if you are with us on the social media, on Zoom platform, we are glad that you are joining us. Our guests are ready. And let me tell you a little bit about this webinar and how it functions. It's a magazine talk show. That means we discuss topical issues, and then we bring in our guests and let our guests deal with the issue. Tonight, we're looking at what it takes to get admission into Ivy League University. Yes, who says you cannot go to Ivy League University? So we're going to be looking at what it takes to get admission, as well as scholarship. Of course, you know, the American university in particular are very expensive. So my guest tonight will tell you what to do in order to get into these universities and be able to obtain scholarship. So it's in two parts. One is how you can get admission. The other one is how you can get scholarship. And both of them are quite experienced and have practical knowledge about getting both the admission as well as scholarship. All right, tonight I am blessed to have my friend for a very long time. My friend's wife, she's equally my friend, Jennifer Onyuku, right? Jennifer has a profound experience, having been the country director of the education services of the American Embassy when she was in Nigeria. She's right now resident in Bowie, Maryland. Jennifer, you're welcome to the program. I think you're muted. Unmute yourself, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you so much, Pastor Jake.
All right, okay, I'm gonna get back to you. Let me introduce your co-panelist. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and had been very supportive. Sese had been very supportive of the work I do. And when I mean, just like Jennifer and the husband did a lot for me, especially introducing me to the American ambassador when they were with the embassy here. Sese is a friend, a brother. Sese had supported me. Even this program, Sese has supported me financially to make sure that I stay on air. He is very humble and would like to, won't like me to say that, but Sese is a data scientist and first degree in agriculture, and he cross-carpeted and went to a bit of data science, and he's still in it, employing many Americans in his organization. Doing very well. We're proud of you, Sese, and also an entrepreneur here in Nigeria, has employed a number of people and they're doing the work. I'm not going to do the talking. Sese, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor Jake.
All right, so let's go straight. Audience, you will have your turn to ask question. Ask these two lady and gentlemen question about what they are going to present. So I'm going to give the floor. They say ladies first. So I'm going to give the floor first to our lady, the beautiful queen of my friend, Idika. So Jenny, you have the floor. You are free to share screen.
It says I can't share screen. Can you put me on, please? A second.
Okay, so I need to make you a co-host again.
Again, yes. My apologies. Yeah.
No problem. Okay, so let me do it real quick. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Yes, now you can share your screen. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you have 10 minutes. I know you have a lot to dish out, but do it in 10 minutes. Sese has been part of the program and has quite a lot. I'm sure Sese don't have presentation, so Sese you can do in 3 minutes. So Jenny, you have the floor.
Okay. Trying to get my presentation on now.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see.
Okay, you're on.
Yeah.
You're on.
I think my everything logged out when I was disconnected.
No problem. You're sharing your system.
Yes, that's fine. It's okay.
All right, you're coming up.
Just my PowerPoint is coming up in a second. Yeah.
All right, while Jenny is coming up, if you are our attendee, we want to welcome you. Jennifer and the husband have invited a number of dignitaries who are Americans who are watching. We welcome you, and there will be a time for you to make comment or ask questions. For now, let's have our panelists make their intervention, and then we'll bring them to you so that you can ask them questions.
Okay.
Jenny, you're on.
Yes, I'm done. I'm gonna do a quick but clear presentation. I have about 10 minutes. You know, as an educator and a preacher, 10 minutes is like a second, but we will see what we can do. Thank you so much again, Pastor Jake, for giving us this platform. We appreciate it. I just want to note a slight correction on the flyer. It's Peniel and Porter's Education Services. So, like Pastor Jake mentioned, I have been doing education for more than 20 years. I don't know if you mentioned that part, but part of my tenure as a full-time advisor was working on leading the Education USA Center in the US Embassy, Nigeria. So now I'm in the US and I'm the CEO and founder of Peniel and Porter's Education Services. But let me just say quickly what we do. What we do is we advise, we advocate, and we assist students, undergraduates and graduate students, get into top-notch institutions in the US, and most likely with scholarships and financial aid. So briefly, 20 years plus of full-time advising experience. Things to highlight in this presentation is that as the leader or the director of Education USA, my center, Nigeria, was #1 for sending the largest number of students to top-notch institutions of higher learning in the US. And during that period of time, my students had over $300 million in scholarship and financial aid. This is me, Jennifer, the CEO. Okay, so I'm gonna go to this. I like this quote. It says the root of education is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. And why do I like it? I like it because I tell my audience, I say I love to help people. So why don't we help you go navigate this visa route and then give you the suite routes. Why? The reason is that in the US, for example, there are over 4,500 accredited institutions of higher learning. And it's a lot, right? And then out of these, about 1,800 of these schools offer graduate program. Graduate program is master's, your PhD, your postdoctoral. Now, for a lot of people who are not familiar with the terminology, who are not even familiar with the registration process or the application process, it's like a whole mass to navigate. But what we do is that we help you navigate this process. How? We teach you basic concepts. So for example, if you're applying to study in the US, you need to know that there's something called a timeline. There's the beginning of the academic year. Academic year starts in fall, and the fall is either August or September. You need to know that because if you apply at the wrong time, you won't get into school. What is big about knowing the timeline? Two things. First of all, if you're applying to competitive institutions, you want to make sure that you put your documents together ahead of time, and then also that you apply where the money is available. In the US, there's a popular saying that the early birds get the worm. So fall is the beginning of the academic year. Fall is when the pot of money is available. Pot of money is a scholarship, your financial aid, and your grants and all the opportunities that are available. So we tell the students who are interested, whether you're undergraduate or graduate student, you should plan for at least 12 to 18 months. That is your time frame. I'm going to be jumping through a lot. Now, whether you're undergraduate, again, that means you're applying for your first degree or you're applying for your master's or PhD, you must go through a 3-step admission process. And that is, step 1 is research, step 2 is application process, step 3 is the finance. And the finance, I always say, is it's intertwined in the first and second steps as well. Now, what does the research cover? The research will cover the types of institutions available in the US. I'm not going to elucidate all of those institutions. I'm just going to run through them. But suffice it to note that you have typically the public institutions and the private institutions. Public or private doesn't denote or connote quality of the institution. It just connotes how the funds, how the schools get their funding. And for students who are interested in applying to study in the US, you need to know that the public schools are funded predominantly by the state government or the federal funds, okay? How does this affect you? It affects you in the sense that they're cheaper, but they're larger size institutions. And if you're an international student, these schools, because they get their funding basically from the state government or tax money, it determines how they can spend their scholarship or they can give out their funding. So for public schools, most of their funds go to residents of the state or US citizens. Now, I know a lot of people who live in Nigeria, for example, there are a lot of US citizens who live in Nigeria. I dealt with many of them, even though they live in Nigeria. So whether or not you don't live in the country, if you're a US citizen, you still have access to that pot of money if you fall under the category. Now, the private institutions are funded by private donors, individuals, organizations. They're usually more expensive, smaller size schools, but they don't have the same kind of restriction as the public institutions in terms of their grants and funding. We'll talk more about that. Location is a big thing you need to research on. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go straight to, I talked about cost. I said cost in terms of public is cheaper, but there's a restriction on funding if you're not a US citizen or resident, okay? Private is more expensive, but they don't have that restriction. So you qualify based on merit. Now, what is the funding? Funding can be partial, can be full. And if you're looking for partial funding, it's more available for many people. But if you want full funding, it's available, it's very competitive, but we help you and we teach you how to navigate those scholarships and financial aid. Timeline is key. As you're doing your research, note what the deadline is for admission and deadline is for scholarship. The application process will take you through completing your application. That's the second step of the program. What we tell students is when you're doing your research, aim at selecting at least 10 to 15 schools, right? That meet your specific need. Now, once you get down the list of schools, you need to apply to the schools. You need to complete the application form. You need your transcript, which is your record of study, either at the undergraduate level, which would be university. If it's pre-undergraduate, which would be your high school, middle and high school, which is your college, okay? Then your resume. Resume is what will tell the school every other thing you have accomplished aside your academics. So resume is when you talk about your work experience, your volunteer, your unique experience in terms of what you're bringing to the table to the US school. We talk about awards. Awards will come under the resume as well. You want to note all your works, everything, little time, everything. In the US, don't say, oh, I don't want to talk about what I've achieved. You take credit for what you've done, okay? Take credit. Recommendation is key. Who is going to talk about you? Your professor, your counselor, your employer, your colleague, somebody who is willing to write great recommendations about you. Your essay or your personal statement will tell the story. What to say in terms of your essay or personal statement is show rather than tell. Show that you're a leader in school. Show that you're the first person who is coming out of Africa to study in the US institution. Show that you're the first person who's even going to college. Show that you have some kind of disability, but you're not letting it limit you. Those things will put you above the pack of people who are applying at the same time with you. So please take credit for what you've accomplished, okay? I'm gonna skip all of this because I ran through that. I'm gonna go back a little bit and talk about standardized tests because that's key. So the standardized tests, so undergraduate students, if you're applying to study, the two tests you need to take, the SAT1 and the SAT2. The SAT1 is the one you're required to take for many institutions. The SAT2 is if you're applying to competitive schools like Harvard, Yale, and all of the other stuff. And if you're applying for full scholarship. Now, for graduate students, you need to take the graduate record examination if you're doing any graduate program other than GMAT, other than business or management, I beg your pardon. Now, some schools that are offering the masters in business will still require to take the GRE. So during your research process, note what types of schools want you to take specifically. For international students, you're required to take a test of English as a foreign language, a TOEFL test, okay? Finance, I said the finance is a third stage, but it's all part of the first and the second stage. So it's part of the first stage because when you're doing research, if you need to know where's my money gonna come from, where's my source of funding? Is it government, is it private, is it loan, is it scholarship? You need to know the deadline. If you're getting money from the school, what is the deadline for you to submit your application? It makes no sense if you meet the deadline for admission or you don't meet the deadline for financial aid. And remember the key word, remember this word, the early birds get the worm. So don't wait until the spring or the summer semester. I didn't go through that in detail before you apply. Qualification, usually a 3.0 on a scale of 4.0, whether you're a high school graduate or a university graduate. But the higher your GPA, the better for you. Now, is the GPA the only thing? No, a whole lot of things are put into consideration. And that's what some of the things will help you do as somebody who takes advantage of our services. I talked about funding. I'm just going to list quickly. So there's tuition, there's what we call gifts. Gifts are like merit-based, which you get a scholarship, you don't need to pay back. Grants, you don't need to pay back. Internship, you don't need to do a work study. And co-op. Now, there is FAFSA, which deals with US citizens and US residents. And then there's a combination of grants and financial aid. Financial aid, you need to pay back. So you need to know all of those things. And then, of course, there's work study. This is what we do. So my company, what we do, my organization, what we do is provide services that help students navigate the process. I said we advise, we advocate, and we assist students get into a top-notch institution or top 3% of their universities of choice. And the biggest part is that we help you get those financial aids and scholarships available. We do it through a lot of workshops, individual basis, and we'll always do, we focus more on individual advising because it's not one shoe size that fits all. I love to show this testimonial. I mentioned earlier the testimonial from my work at the U.S. Embassy, but since I've been in the U.S. full-time, I have Peniel there is a chemical engineer, went to Drexel University through our program, full tuition and co-op. Average cost of study at Drexel is $70,000 per annum. We did 5 years. We paid only about $6,000 the first year. Okay. Peniel graduated at the age of 20, chemical engineering. I have Seth. Seth is Clarkson, class of 2021. So he graduates in May of 2021. $70,000 in scholarship and aid. I have Solomon here. Solomon is a freshman at Carnegie Mellon University. Full tuition, full scholarship rather, $74,000 US. He has nothing to pay back. So are you thinking about studying in the US? Do you want to know how to navigate the undergraduate and the graduate program? I'm right here. You can talk to me. Okay? Questions? Over to you, Pastor Jake.
All right, Jennifer, you are a fantastic. Can you get off the screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you
Do I
are.
have a few minutes, or do I have a few minutes, Pastor Jake?
No, I'm going to ask you some questions that will bring up more information about this. But excellent presentation, and I'm beginning to think of a 2.0 edition where I will have to bring you guys back and we talk about this. It may happen next week, but let's see what the reaction will look like. Sese, you want to jump in and tell us a bit of your experience? I know you have gotten scholarship for a number of people, and you probably went to school by scholarship, and some of your brothers. You have the floor, Sese.
I think, Jennifer, thank you so much for a very well compiled presentation. Definitely, you know what you're doing and you know how to do it. So not much more to add to what you've said in terms of what the process is. But where I'll anchor my thoughts in the next 2 minutes would be, how do you prepare yourself, right? How do you prepare yourself relative to your mindset? What are you coming to America to do? To go to school? What program do you have a passion for? How do you prepare yourself if you want to come into a graduate program here? What type of courses you should take? Should you be involved in research? If you could present paper, co-author papers with your professors in school, all that type of stuff prepares you and makes you a stronger candidate to get graduate assistantships, because the professors here that would have funding for graduate assistants, they're looking for people that have some experience with doing desk research, lab research. They need people with experience that can author paper, people that have that experience to do presentation in scientific conferences, because that's what they're giving you the money for. So the money is not for free. The money is for you to come here and also contribute to their own research programs. They also have another arm of scholarships you could get at preparing in the air, like they call them teaching assistantships. Those type of things would require you helping, like if you're in the graduate program, helping their undergraduate class students with homework and stuff like that, or labs, those types of things, or special programs, special paper research and stuff like that. So if you could school yourself, prepare yourself in the area of teaching, I believe in giving to community, giving to people. If you invest in other people in that regard, volunteer, talk to your professors. How can you help the undergraduate students in your program in Nigeria? That way you prepare yourself to be competitive in seeking those type of funding. And then something else that I'll throw out there is have that mindset of hard work. I know if you're on this call today, you must be a hard-working person. Prepare yourself. It's hard work. It's no joke. Graduate program, yeah, especially in the graduate program, it's like every day there's research, there's work to be done, and you just keep going. So ground yourself in hard work and ground yourself to be resilient. Technology that they use might be way above and beyond what you might be experiencing. So prepare yourself in that regard. Those will be the 3 key highlights I'll throw there. Say, how do you prepare yourself to be ready to integrate for you to succeed, given all that Jennifer has highlighted. So I think we can open it up to questions, so we could address whatever. Because I think there are a couple people that have raised their hands out there on
Yes, I will bring them in, but let me, the greatest problem, and Jennifer, you have the experience, you worked at the embassy. The greatest problem of some of these prospective undergraduates who wants to come to America, their greatest problem is usually, how do I get visa? What do I do that qualifies me to get a visa, to probably get a scholarship? Some parents have the money to send their ward to school, but getting a visa is a problem. What is it that disqualifies students from getting visa? Jennifer.
Okay, I never approach anything from the negative perspective. So I'm not going to say what disqualifies you from getting visa, because that would be like all.
What qualifies you?
Yeah, so what qualifies you? First of all, let me debunk that notion that it is a problem. It is not a problem. In my, I think I was there for almost 17 years. Okay, so that's pretty much all my youthful life as far as I'm concerned. And I work with several thousands of students. For any student, like, so let me say thank you for that addition. That is so great. And I like the way you pitched in to the graduate community, because there's a whole lot people need to know that's available. I mean, the opportunity is here, but you need to prepare for that. And then you can now access them. I used to have a boss who says, when opportunity, preparation meets opportunity, inevitably produces success. So that's the same thing for the visa process. It's not rocket science. It just means that you say you are a student. When you come before the consular officer, you must demonstrate that what you say you are is who you are. So if you're a student who is from Nigeria, for example, applying to study in the US, number one, you must demonstrate that in Nigeria, you are a bona fide student, okay? And then number two, you must demonstrate that you are coming to the US to be a what? A bona fide student, okay? How can I be a bona fide student in Nigeria? I have the degree, or I have the WAEC results, or I have whatever certification I say I have, okay? I have prepared, like Cece alluded to, by taking the required standardized test, apply to the right schools. How do I show I'm a bona fide student when I get to the US? I have an admission from an accredited institution in the US. There are over 4,500 accredited institutions. Trust me, there are some that are not accredited. Okay, so if you're going to a school that's not accredited, of course, that's beyond the consular's purview. You cannot demonstrate that you're truly coming to study. And some of these schools are not accredited. I would like to put a caveat here. It doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. For example, some faith-based institutions do not submit themselves to secular accreditation. So they are proper institutions, but they're not accredited. Now, you as an international student who's coming to that institution, you really need to go above the usual rigor to demonstrate that your real reason to come to the US is to actually study. Now, so you demonstrate you're a bona fide student in your home country, coming to the US to become a bona fide student. Do you have the requisite finances? Finances could be your personal finances or your scholarships and grants. I have sent a lot of students. I've sent students who didn't have a dime. They couldn't even pay for their local examination in Nigeria, but we send them to come and study at schools like Princeton. I have Abel Adama. I sent him to MIT. He came all the way from some states in the north. I can't remember where. Okay, he studied. I remember his degree in about full funding at MIT for 4 years. And guess what? They paid for him. The school paid for him to come home to do volunteer work with Nigerian students. I have people who have come from all the way from Nigeria, and the schools pay for them to go back home on summer just to make sure there's a return track. So the visa process is not rocket science. It's just there's a procedure. I'm not a consular officer, but there's a procedure that you need to establish, and just establish it properly. Some people can be bona fide again, but when they get to the window, they're not able to communicate which they bring. So that's it.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to say here, Tessa, I'm going to come to you real quick. I'd like to say here, one of the things that Jennifer said, even though she said it diplomatically, most times, Nigerians go to the embassy and tell cheap lies. And those people are smart. They know you're lying through your teeth. And by the time you end, they just stamp you and said, you can't go. Many of you genuinely have what it takes to go. You would have qualified for that visa, but you had just told them a lie and they just deny you. Make sure you are who you are. Present it. It doesn't matter even if you don't get the visa, but tell the truth. That is very important. Sese, I want you to jump in. I know that you got a scholarship for somebody who was in Nigeria, and the person came into the US to do his master's. Tell us, what was your experience? How did you do that?
I think everything Jennifer presented is the steps that you need to take. Then I think the big part of it is for you to be prepared. I'm sorry, like those are the same things for you to be prepared. In that scenario and in that case, the student was prepared and actually came to pay for himself to go to school. But when he presented, they saw that he had done a lot of research work. He had done some presentation in scientific meetings and stuff like that. The professor was impressed and offered him assistantship. Make sense? So he was prepared. So I think you hit on the very key point, Pastor Jakes, when you were talking about speaking the truth. You have to be true to yourself. Being true to yourself is hard work, right? You have a a second-class upper GPA. You should be a second-class upper GPA in spirit and in truth. Make sense? No, say I'm just being very pristine here. Yeah, you have to be a second-class upper student in spirit and in truth. If you are a second-class lower student, you have to be a second-class lower student. There's nothing wrong in being a 2-2 or a 2-1. But are you prepared? What are you coming to do? Do you have a sense of what you want to do with it going into the future? Are you passionate about something? It's not all about you. It's about what are you passionate about to serve other people, to serve community, to raise economies. Make sense? Yeah. If you have those type of predisposition, then you are being prepared, to come impact lives. Not because if you are not demonstrating all those things, it seems like you are just looking for an avenue to do something else. Make sense? Right. So it's all about being prepared.
Okay. My guests, stand by. The audience also stand by. When we come back, we'll open up the floor for you to ask them questions. And then, Jennifer, we're likely to do a follow-up, depending on how less busy you guys are, if we can do a follow-up next week, because there's a whole lot you presented that a lot of people will want to ask you questions. Just stand by. Wisdom Masterclass. We'll be back after this time.
It's exciting, it's educative and engaging. Get master information on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, 7 o'clock every Sunday evening with your host, Jake Epele, CEO and founder, the Albino Foundation. Wisdom Masterclass webinar live on Zoom, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Topics that will stir you up, take you right to the next level. For more information, send email to jake@albinofoundation.org or call 0803 533 5444. That is 0803 533 5444. Get reality on a virtual platform. Join the virtual trade. Don't be told. Get wisdom only on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, poised to take you to the next level.
All right, welcome back to Wisdom Masterclass. Every week at this time, we do this, and we do this absolutely for you at no cost to my participants. So you are on the beat right now, and you have the floor to ask questions. My guest, Sese, will be back on camera, and Jennifer is still here. First and foremost, gentlemen, I struggle with my site, so I'm going to have both of you to also look at the questions on the chat room and you can take those questions. But before then, let's open up the floor for some of our attendees, and they can pretty well ask questions. Two hands are lifted. I can read your name from this distance, but let me just open up your line. Your questions must be direct. Please don't tell us stories. Just ask questions or make comments, and you have 60 seconds. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. I can't see your name from this distance, but I'm trying to open you up. Essay Honor. Essay Honor. Go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question. Essay Honor.
Okay, my question is for international students who are in arts stage. We're talking basically about scientific research. So if you're arts based, like if you're studying an arts course, what kind of research will you do? Because most times we're talking about scientific research. And then for the TOEFL exams, you talked about that for international students, and for the graduate students, you talked about writing the GMAT exam. So if you're going to study a graduate course, like a master's course, are you going to be writing both exams?
Okay, I assume that question will go to both Sese and Jennifer. Jennifer, you want to take first?
All right, yeah, let me do this fine. So let's start with your question about research. So research that Sese was referring to, and I'm sure he's going to add on, it doesn't stop in just for science students. It's not all about lab work. There's social research, there's research in the arts and performing, for example. There are papers you've written. He talked about teaching assistantship. Teaching assistantship is not research-based. It's assisting a graduate, assisting a professor take undergraduate class or mark scripts or compile whatever the professor is doing. So professors, both in the humanities and arts and sciences, all conduct researches. However, there are more researches available and more money available in the sciences than the arts, okay? Now, you talked about TOEFL tests. The TOEFL test is for international students, whether you're undergraduate or graduate students. It's a test of English as a foreign language. So that's for both students. The GRE is for the graduate record examination is for students who are not applying for business or management programs. So even if you're studying English, you're studying music, as long as it's a graduate program, you'll be taking, or you're studying public health, okay? So you'll be taking the GRE test. The GMAT is for students who are only taking the management of business courses. Now, also note that schools now, even the ones that offer for business and management, some of them are accepting the GRE test. And so this is what you need to find out during the research process, because those two tests are such detailed based tests that you don't want to take two of them at any particular time, okay?
All right, Sese, you want to jump in?
I think Jennifer adequately answered the question, so we can take the next one.
Okay, I'll bring you in. Okay, I'm trying to, okay, so you have this gentleman, you are Bottom Separa, something, if I, forgive me if I murdered your name. Can you unmute and ask your question? Bottom, B-U-T-U-M, go ahead.
Yes.
Can you, do you want to ask question or comment?
I think I see his question there.
Okay, go ahead. Read the question, Jenny.
Yes, he says, please throw more light on the finance sources and qualification. So bottom, I'm not sure if you're undergraduate or graduate. However, let's start with qualification. So we're looking at the 3.0 on a scale of 4 or higher. If you're a graduate student, for example, I remember sisters saying things about the second class upper division or second class lower division. I always say to students, never discount yourself because of the academic qualification, because it includes your diploma, It includes your standardized test scores, it includes your award, it includes your volunteer, it includes your research, so many things. I mean, there are awards that are available because you're a first-time graduate student or you're a first-time college student. You can get money for that. There's money available for writing program. There's money available for instrumental, musical instrumental skills, artistic skills. So there are a whole array of opportunities. So don't discount yourself just because you're hearing qualification. Now, I mentioned the sources because there can be money available from your home government, your home government from your country you're applying to, or from private contributors or donors at the various schools you're applying to. I remember my middle son was applying to a school, and there was money like $10,000 applying for somebody who can write about an unusual experience, a unique experience. Of course, he wrote about him transiting from Africa to the US, even though he's been back and forth, and how he was able to adjust and all of that. And he got the $10,000 just by writing that essay. So there's a whole lot available to you. What else you say? So throwing more light. But I cannot cover that whole process at one sitting. So we need a 2.0, a 3.0 session, Pastor Jake, for people like this. And then let me also note that you can always communicate or follow up with me. My email address, I don't know, Pastor Jake, do you want me to put it right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Jennifer, go ahead, share your email address, and please share that presentation with me and with everybody on this platform. I think it's very powerful presentation. And Cesar, if you're comfortable with also sharing your email, that's good. Go ahead, do that. Lukman is my colleague from our office in Ekiti. Lukman, you have the floor.
Yeah, Lukman from Osun State. Good evening, sir, and I'm a member of the panelists. Hello.
Go ahead, Lukman.
Can you hear me, sir? Yeah, my question is this: what are the requirements in terms of application for the undergraduates? I'm talking about the whole level requirement for most of the courses.
So you must have 6 years of
courses.
6 years of middle and high school, right? So that's 6 years of school, college, 6 years, okay? From your JS1 to SS3, 6 years. I said average, depends on what you're looking for. So if you're just applying for admission, you're looking at between 2.5 to 4 out of 4.0 GPA. But if you're looking for scholarship or financial aid, we're looking for more A's and B's, okay? And then less C's, definitely. But there are other things we just talked about, your volunteer experience, your leadership skills, so the head girl of the school, or the social welfare prefects, okay? I was able to do community that brought water or help clean a particular streets while we're in school. We're able to donate certain items because we're able to get funding from companies. These are things that stand you out as a leader. Cesar kept saying, what do you bring to the table? So that preparation, what do you bring to the table? The US schools know what they have to offer you. What do you bring that will stand you apart? That's what you need. So your 6 years of high school, your all the other extracurricular activities, some of you are involved in sports. Please do not discount that as big. Sports is big. If you had any award, that's great. What I tell students, don't just put yourself out there.
Hello. Okay.
Lukman, can you mute yourself, Lukman?
All right, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Esther, can you please mute? Thank you. Jennifer, go ahead.
So don't be the basketballer, the drama club person, the music artist or the scientist, and everything. There's no leadership. There's no peak. Your emphasis, okay, do all of those extracurricular, they're great, but let there be peaks, let there be high points. So where are you a leader? So the drama club, the fact that you're a president of the drama club counts so much more than you being in 4 different societies or 4 different organizations, okay? The fact that you got an award, even if it's $1,000 or $500 award for something, will be a negotiation point for you. Then the key thing I tell students, apply to as many schools as possible because it will give you opportunity to negotiate financial aid. I give you a typical reality. My son applied to about 20 schools And we kept getting all the schools come back with admissions, and some of them $35,000 scholarship, and we have like another $25,000 or $40,000 to pay. Where was that going to come from? But as soon as I got the first award, I gave him $65,000, and he had like $5,000 balance. I knew I had the negotiation table. We're not going to go to that school, but we will use that school to negotiate financial aid and scholarship from the other school. And that's what he did. So he got into a school that he's not paying nothing, zero. And
Okay.
that's the top 20 school in the US. So that's what you need to do. Preparation, understanding the process, working with who will help you through the process.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Like I said, both of you need to help me. There's a number of questions on the the Q&A, and there are also some questions on the chat box. Any of you can read those questions and attend to them. While we're doing that, Cesar, you haven't told me, I need more of your experience, because I know that you probably went to school. Cesar, you went to school on scholarship, right?
I'll say so, yes.
Yes. So what did you do to get in?
You see, it's everything that Jennifer said. That's it. There's really nothing special else for you to do. I think, Jennifer, you've highlighted the key things that needs to be done. You identify your schools, prepare for your GMAT. I think one of the questions out there is to say, when do you use GMAT or when do you use GRE? Just to clarify that, GRE is needed for mostly science-based graduate programs, like engineering, chemistry, physics, those type of things, right? When you go into business school, finance school, and things like that, that's when you use the GMAT. There's a question that somebody posed out there like that. TOEFL is needed for everybody. If you are going to graduate school or undergraduate, you have to take test of English as a foreign language. Then SAT 1, SAT 2 is when you go into undergraduate. That's kind of the equivalent for GRE, GMAT for undergraduates. Make sense? So then somebody had a question out there that was asking a question around, should I go to school in Europe or should I go to school in the US? It's up to you. It depends on what you are looking for. What system of education you are drawn to or appeals to you the most. The US system of education I'll say is different from what you pick up in Europe. I don't think one is better than the other. Some of their programs you get out faster in Europe than in the US. Make sense? The US system is what I can speak to. What I know about graduate school is that it's very intense. Unlike the way we go to school, where you go for a whole semester and you have no exam, and at the end of the semester, you write this big exam. Here, nearly every week you are tested. Every 2 weeks you have research you are doing and submitting research. You're doing your thesis, you are going to conferences to present. It's intense, it's a lot of work. And if you like that type of a challenge, then the US is a place for you to go to school. If you are looking for a system that is more applied, application type schools, you have a lot of them in the US. It's not all theory, where you do engineering or you do economics without having the experience of theory, of practice. Most of these programs here, they try to emphasize practice. I think that's why innovation is strong here in the US. I think Jennifer highlighted a school like Drexel. They have the co-op program. What the co-op program is, the practicals to whatever you're doing. If you're in engineering school, they will arrange for you to go work with a company for like maybe six months to a year, and that is part of your credit to graduate from school. So it's very practical, very applied type programs. That's what we are beginning to see more and more, mostly in graduate schools in the US. So okay. Those are the types of things that will drive your decision where you want to go to school.
Okay, Jennifer, I'm going to have a question for you, but Esse and Lukman, can you put your hands down? Your hands are permanently up, so that I'll know the other people that want to ask questions. But Jennifer, how on earth did you do it that all your children, A+ students, all are on scholarship? What miracle did you do?
First of all, let me just add, and thank you so much. So, Cesar, I'm really, really impressed. I don't know how long you've been working with students or working with helping people, but I'm impressed with your detailed contribution to this webinar. You know, very detailed. So, all the audience, you actually applaud your presence in this webinar. Because I've done this for 22 years plus, full time, and I'm listening to you. I'm like, really? This guy wants to take my job, really? So, but I just wanted to add two things about the person who's comparing the American institution with the European schools. You hit the nail on the head by saying it depends on what they want or their affinity or what their interest lies in. But let me tell you, the basic yardsticks that you can use. The US is reputed for housing some of the top universities in the world. So look at it, when you got top 100 universities in the world, I'm sure you get like almost 70 to 80% housed in the US, okay? The US is #1 for employing top researchers and professors in the world. They get the professors from everywhere in the world. Why? People are coming from Europe to come and teach or become adjunct faculties in the US schools. Why? Because of their investment in research. And every economy or institution that invests in research is the next leader. And of course, what do we say it again? The US is a world leader for today. We don't know about tomorrow, but we're still the world leader in technology and everything. And then think about it. How many places will you go to study where you are not from that country and you are giving grants to study, scholarship to study? That is amazing. So, and I'm not talking out of bias, I'm talking about research. So go online, do a research based on what I just said, and you can come back to me. My email is on the chat box. Now, how did I do it? I prepared. From beginning, I prepared. I already started having my boys. I have 3 children in my first 4 years of marriage. I have 3 boys. So where is the money going to come from? I mean, I'm here helping people go study in the US. Where will my sons go to? Okay, so we prepared from beginning, we did the background work. And then my first son, for example, got into college at 15. He got into college at 15 where the US schools were not accepting 15-year-olds in college. But then there were things that we could use to circumvent that. For example, he went to a private boarding school in Nigeria from the age of 9. So if you could toughen it up there, I mean, talk about when you come to the US school and they have security on the way around the place, they have structural system in place. So if he could survive there, he could survive that. So he put that up in his essay and he did a personal interview with several schools for them to accept him. So the preparation was there, the guidance is the biggest part. I'm thorough about what I do, my team is thorough about what we do. And then above all, you can never take away the God factor.
Oh yeah, that's the first. That's the first. Like you can say that again. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys two minutes to do your closing remark. But before then, let me ask you guys: can we do this again next week, Sunday?
That's fine by me. I mean, it's tough back-to-back presentation, but I'm good. I'm keen.
I will check tonight and give you feedback, Pastor Jakes.
Okay.
You know how it is for me. I'll check and give you feedback.
So for sure, we have Jennifer, and by the Spirit, I know I will have Cece, because there's a whole lot of people on this platform that needs more information that will also go and tell the story. This is one of the most profound sessions that I'm holding, and I love what I'm hearing, and I'm sure my audience are really captivated by your wealth of wisdom and experience. This is so practical. So I would love to have you. I have to shift what I wanted to do next week to expand this. I knew it was going to come that way because we needed 2.0. All right. I have just about 6 minutes to go. Jennifer, can you take 2 minutes and give me your closing thoughts?
I like to say that all things are possible. If you have a dream, put hands and feet to your dream. Don't sit back after this session, even if you didn't understand many of the things we talked about because of the terminologies and all of the processes. It might be cumbersome, but take the next step. Attend the 2.0, follow up with me, follow up with Sese. My email address is right there, ppeducationservices1@gmail.com. The biggest thing about our program, my program, is that we love to help people. So let's start from there. Okay? We love to help people. Thank you, Pastor Jake. And
Thank you. Sese, closing thoughts.
Yeah, so first of all, the question from SA, yes, at 300 level, you can start applying. It's a good time for you to begin to the process. It gives you time to do things properly. There's a strong belief I have. That belief is in serving. That belief is in what is the end in mind. Yeah, you want to go to school in the US, you want to get scholarship, you want to get grants, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do with all this? The more you think about that, and the more you put your heart towards using that for service, from a social perspective, from an economic perspective for yourself and your family and your community, the more you prepare yourself to be successful through this process and in life in general. They call this the Wisdom Masterclass. Just thought to share that little wisdom. We need that heart in this season, in this time. We need that heart of service. And when you get here successfully, if you have that heart of service, you definitely will trailblaze in a lot of areas of life. So thanks, Pastor Jake, for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much. My guests have been Jennifer Onyuku. Jennifer, I hope I got your husband's.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you wonderful woman of God. Jennifer is a preacher. Sese is a preacher. Let me tell you that these people are saying exactly what they are. Jennifer has a school in Nigeria that still runs, and doing pretty well. And look at what she kept saying, a heart to help people. Somebody had asked me, what's my vision in life? My vision is to serve God and serve humanity. That's all. That's all I live for. That's all I do. Sese will leave America and go to Senegal in a village. This man he's comfortable, but he will leave the comfort of his home and go to a village in Senegal to build homes to help indigent children. That's service. You and I have the wonderful opportunity to be of service to humanity. If I had folded my hands and just be comfortable in America when I had the time, I wouldn't have been back in Nigeria to do what I'm doing. I'm not perfect in what I'm doing, but I'm making effort every day to do what I'm doing. But let me give you my closing thoughts. My friend, no matter what you do in life, if you don't have Christ, you are wasting your time. I say it again, you are wasting your time. You must reconcile with your maker. You must give your heart to the Lord Jesus. That's the essence of life. And so if you haven't done that, my friend, do that. All of us on this platform are sharing this wonderful testimony because we have been touched by him. You and I, you can make that difference if it's in what you're doing. Everyone, look, man, everyone, my colleagues, everyone have come to that conclusion that if Christ is not in what we are doing, we would have shut down. So my friend, make him your Lord and personal Savior. That's where education starts. God himself created education. When he says, let there be light, that was education. All he said was, let there be knowledge, and that's it. So education is the first thing he created. That's why in everything I do, I give people the opportunity for education, education, education. This is why we draw the curtain on today's edition of Wisdom Masterclass. And I want to once more thank Jennifer, and I'm looking forward to having you guys next week. So Sese, I know you're a man of the spirit. By the time we are done, he would have spoken to you, and you will leave everything and you will be here. Sese drove several hours a few weeks ago and still logged in to be part of the program. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for being part of the program. My audience, I appreciate you. Unfortunately, we can't do more than this. This is where we draw the curtain. Until next week, we will have...
It's exciting, it's educative, and engaging. Get master information on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, 7 o'clock every Sunday evening with your host, Jake Bele, CEO and founder of the Albino Foundation. Wisdom Masterclass webinar, live on Zoom, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Topics that will stir you up, take you right to the next level. For more information, send email to jake@albinofoundation.org or call 0803 533 5444. That is 0803 533 5444. Get reality on a virtual platform. Join the virtual train. Don't be told. Get wisdom only on Wisdom Masterclass webinar, poised to take you to the next level.
Thank you, guys. Have a lovely day. It's still afternoon in America. We are going to bed. Do you see the wonderful creation of God? While we are preparing to go to bed, you are up and doing. And please, your president, both of you are US citizens. I wish Donald Trump a speedy recovery, and hope that when he recovers, he will continue to recognize the place of God in his life. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.